So to start off, my name is Seth, and I live in Kentucky. I have a couple of close friends living in the same town I do. We all usually would hang out on Mondays and Wednesdays, when I was on the day shift at work. The names of my friends will not be mentioned for the sake of their own privacy, so I'll go with little nicknames they came up with, which are Ty and Boo. Ty is the driver, by the way. We were doing our usual hanging out plans, which is to stop by my house and just kind of relax. Though we decided why not make our hangout a little more interesting this time around. A few times, we've driven by an abandoned elementary school that's been left to rot for a good 11 years now. It's unclear why it was abandoned. However, at the mention of the school idea, I agreed it'd be pretty cool to check something eerie out. I'm a huge fan of horror-based things, and this was exciting. Boo wasn't up for the idea in the first place though, and was insistent we all leave it alone in case we get caught for trespassing. I did keep this in mind, but I totally had some good logic, of course. There's no cameras around, and there's rarely any cops there, so I'm sure if they were that persistent on keeping people out, then they'd be sticking around constantly. Ty seemed to agree, but had an obvious look of hesitation, though didn't seem completely bothered. We went through this idea we were going to do. Urban exploration sounded really enthralling right now. We got prepared with some granola bars, flashlights, despite it being afternoon at this point, walkie-talkies, and some water bottles. It might have seemed a bit over-prepared, but we had no idea how long we were going to be in there. It's a school with 2 levels as well, so you just never know, right? Driving the good 5 minutes down the highway and to the off-road of the highway where the abandoned school would be. The place looked so haunted and dilapidated. Vines were crawling all over it. Coloring of the building was deteriorated. Of course, the windows were either really dirty or broken. The parking lot for the school wasn't big either. Maybe enough for one school bus to go through it. Maybe 2 at most. As we got ourselves parked near the entrance on the side that was facing away from the main road, someone had already seemed to have pried open the door once or a few times before. I felt a bit unnerved with that fact though, but it wasn't too unsettling. Just as expected of an abandoned place to figure some druggies or homeless people would settle in that sort of place. All 3 of us got out of the car, packing the snacks and equipment we needed. It was a bit of a tense atmosphere when we began approaching the school. It gave this feeling of anxiety. The anxiety was unclear whether it was from the idea of the place having some unstable person inside that could attack us, the police possibly spotting our car on their way out somewhere, or even possibly being haunted. I'm not exactly a firm believer on the paranormal, but I never dish out any possibilities. We remained silent as we stopped past the long blue object keeping the door pried open. Quietly entering the broken down establishment, my anxiety was a bit heightened, keeping a good alert system in my head turned on in case we had to get out of Dodge for any reason while exploring. Not even a minute in and only making it past the boiler room on the left of the entrance, we noticed a lot of torn off pieces of ceiling or walls. It looked a lot like those abandoned asylums where everything just looks absolutely dirty and just gives you this sense of impending death. There was just human waste scattered around. It was really disgusting, but we avoided it as best as we could. I was already very on edge, and I could tell Boo was too, but we barely made it to any of the other rooms or the stairwell behind us. Before a shadow passed by the window way down the hallway. Both of us did get freaked out, and I was feeling fight or flight right now. Nearly about to bolt out of that room thinking some freakish human or even a creature would be coming to get us. Ty had almost begun to lightly laugh, but wasn't totally not unnerved by this atmosphere. "It's okay, guys. It's just a car passing by," he said, trying to assure us both. "Really? Oh shit, okay." I replied with a bit of a mutter under my breath as I tried to calm down. Honestly, I was kind of laughing later when I realized it was simply just a car. Onward we began to go. My friends were pulling out their phones to take pictures of all the creepy-looking kid handprints on the walls that had probably seen better days when this place was up and running. I was in a bit of morbid awe at how this place looked, though. I should have taken pictures when I was in here. Oh well, what can you do? We traveled around the ground floor and through every room possible. Sunlight was still lighting up some of the rooms and made our sightseeing a lot easier. Honestly, it was difficult to tell what each room was. It reminded me of places where kids dance or do gym, maybe. Most of the classrooms, I assume that's what they are, had glass windows decorating the sides from top to bottom. Of course, there was just a lot of broken pieces of wall and ceiling laying around on all the floors. As we finished the ground floor, we made it to the second and last floor. It was pretty creepy up there too. I'm pretty sure one of the rooms was for ballet or something. I don't know why one room had so many large mirrors in it, but it was kind of chilling. Some of the mirrors were shattered, to no surprise. And I felt a bit of a sigh escape as I thought about the type of people who come in here only to trash the place instead of gaining some interest and see maybe why this place was shut down. Similar to the ground floor, it was all pieced up and just as creepy, though the mirrors were a bit more so in that regard. We didn't really plan to stay super long at first, just gain some sightseeing and an idea of how rundown this place is. So, are you all ready to get going? I quietly called out enough for the two to hear, ready to head to the bottom level. Yeah, we should get out of here. You never know if someone's going to see us, responded Boo. They had the creeps for a while now, I'm sure. Though I can't be certain that's how she felt the entire time. With that, I figured Ty was on board and caught a few more pictures before putting the phone away and all of us gathering to get out of this haunting place. Until we heard something. The sound of creaking and cracking as though something was stepping on the broken pieces of the walls and ceiling down to the end of the top floor way behind us. My heart must have skipped a beat right then and there. I was not about to die. All I could hear was Ty start reacting, but in a quick, hushed tone of voice, "Let's go, now," without even saying what or who it was. We just simply began leaving and not daring to look back when we went down those stairs, hearing the thing make heavy footsteps on the floor in its way toward us all. I wasn't sure how quick it was. The steps sounded a bit far between each, as though they took long strides. And we heard whistling. It reminded me of what a chickadee bird does, the famous Phoebe call. We ran like bats out of hell, out of there. We weren't wasting any time, and it was beginning to get dark now. We had gone in pretty late on the afternoon after all, and this was just early spring now, meaning it does still get dark pretty early. Thankfully, we made it out without incident. That was pretty terrifying, and I would love to say that's all that happened, but I was pretty dead wrong. Come a week later or so, my sense of time is a bit messy. We wanted to go out once again, but without planning. I was still on day shift, of course, so I wanted to hang out with my friends. Our idea was just to drive and relax at this point. I obliged, and so did the other two. This was right after I got off of work, meaning I got off and we headed straight out to the old country roads a good hour away from where we all live. Ohio County is pretty beautiful in the day, albeit some settlements gave off that horror movie cliche feel to it with the old sheds and whatnot. We noticed various spaced out farmlands with oil rigs. At least I think they were oil rigs, but smaller. It was a really nice drive, and especially during sunset. Just the cleaner air and country life here. It was quiet, and the people seemed to mind their own business. Plenty of cows to see as well. Just kind of laughing and making jokes at the sights we saw. Then we passed a ditch on the side of the road. We saw something laying in the ditch itself. Oh shit, did you see that? Quietly exclaimed Ty. Wait, what was it? Inquired Boo. I was confused, but after we drove a bit ahead, Ty decided to reverse the vehicle and have us take a better look at what this was. Once we approached and saw this massive white stuff, we parked and I finally saw it. It was a rib cage. And all of us at first thought with the size it was human, but after a second we knew it was too big for a human size, and came to the conclusion that it was probably just a deer rib cage. I found it a bit odd, since it was just laying on the side of the ditch like that. No other bones were found at all. It was probably there for weeks and would have had to decay to that degree. Amongst ourselves, we thought it was pretty cool. We were all into gore and horror stuff, just a little bit, so we continued on our merry way afterward. Eventually we got to a part of Ohio County where it was pretty woodsy and the sun was pretty close to setting now. Why not stay a bit and admire the wilderness? It was pretty creepy out here, and it was sort of one of those things where it had beauty to it as well. We took a stop down a country road where it seemed no one was inhabiting down the way. Only a few sparse houses were down the lone road we took. And it was pretty far out there. When we thought it was a good idea to stop and take a fresh breath of outside air, we'd gone to where it was mostly trees and there was also this field of tall grass in front of us. We'd parked on the dirt end of a road where you couldn't drive past it. Stepping out of the car, it was seeming to get dark at this point. We didn't really much fantasize good things in the dark. But we decided to stay a bit just to watch the outside. I mean, we're not exactly the type of people to be nature lovers, but we did sometimes admire these sort of things. So, are we sure we want to stay out here after that experience we had last week? I questioned to the two of my friends, either one hesitating before one of them spoke up. Just for a bit. It could help you with inspiration on your stories or ideas for writing and drawing, replied Ty, standing beside the driver's side door. We all felt a bit uneasy being out here in the near dark of a woodland-like place. You know how some horror movies and stories go, and so did we. Me and my paranoid self, I began feeling anxious when it was getting dark outside. Felt as though we should leave, soon. Honestly, I want to say my friends might have felt the same, but I can't exactly intuitively tell how someone feels all the time. I don't know, man, though you may be right. Maybe I shouldn't be so scared of the night. It's all in my head. I try to calm down and rationalize the feeling of being watched. Maybe it's just my overactive anxiety tripping me out. However, it was soon broken by the nauseating smell of rotting meat and metal. It wasn't there before, was it? Do you both smell that disgusting odor? I cringed audibly, making an obvious noise of disgust. Ew, what is that? Boo coughed out for a moment after speaking. I could tell Ty was feeling the same. We all tried to cover our noses over, but I could feel the stench stinging my sinuses and eyes. Just then, the sound of whistling. It was similar to what we heard back in school. In the school, anyways. A short bout of cackling occurred too, making my gut twist and turn unfortunately. I knew, and they knew, we needed to cut the visit short after this experience. All of us hopped in the car, and before we could even engage the ignition to start the car, we looked forward for a moment and saw a very tall, possibly over 8 feet tall, figure in the distance of the field. Glowing yellow eyes piercing us from what was left of the sunset's light. We heard the calls audibly, even with the doors closed, and they were coming closer. Shit, 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 let's go, screamed out Ty, starting up the car hurriedly, ready to flirt out of there when he noticed the monster of a thing approaching us. Headlights would soon be on to give us the full picture. It was absolutely shocking to see. Just imagine a Wendigo, but kind of like a cross of a skinwalker, perhaps. It was sort of like that, yet not. Let me go into detail here from what I did see. It had the skull of a canine, maybe a fox or coyote. It had no fur on its body, only leathery, wrinkled brown skin. The body wasn't too skinny, but not too thick. The thing had 4 arms and 2 legs. The arms had big clawed hands on them. You could easily see the rib cage in view, poking out and have blood stained on the bones of it. The skin tattered and angled as though something or someone had ripped the skin clean off. The most shocking feature to me was the multiple sets of eyes I made out on the thing's skull. There had to be at least 5 from the front view, all a penetrating golden yellow. We heard it make the cackle once more. I should mention that it reminded me of a demon, sort of, with the double layered vocals, and one was higher pitched, the other was lower. I can't describe or make any synonymous remarks of what it sounded exact with, but hell, it was fucking chilling. I could tell and feel we were all frozen in fear. I know my heart must have palpitated from fear just seeing this monstrosity only a good yard in front of us. I don't know how, but Ty was not hesitant. He just peeled out of there and did not turn back or stop until we got out of Ohio County. None of us were able to calm down after that horrific thing. I'm sure at least one of us would hallucinate after experiencing it. I honestly didn't think something like that existed. I know I wouldn't have slept well that night. It was like the beast would long haunt and follow you for as long as you lived, just tormenting you with its laughs and whistles. We had made it home without incident that night, but let me tell you, none of us ever forgot it. I don't know if the school mishap was that thing following us just to freak us out, but I have a sneaking suspicion this thing could travel, possibly take form of a ghost at its will. Maybe it's a demon and made its ugliest form visible to us just to scare us dead. All I know is, don't fucking go to Ohio County at night in the deep country roads. The sky may be beautiful at night, but if you plan to go out there, be ready for this. Don't say you weren't warned of whatever this was.